Hey, what's going on, guys? FlynnMasters coming back at ya with my final video of 2024. And like I said, it's an official full circle moment for my channel, as after ranking my top 10 least favorite chefs of all time yesterday, I'll be ranking my top 10 favorite chefs today. This was a hard list to make, and some of the people I left off was brutal. But nonetheless, let's get this list started at number 10, and that is the winner of Season 1, Michael Ray. And here's the thing, he's probably not even top 10 for most people when it comes to the winner rankings. And objectively speaking, I do enjoy a lot of the honorable mentions a lot more. But let's be frank, if it wasn't for this man, I don't think I'd be here right now, and I don't think you all would be watching my videos as well. As this man broke Hell's Kitchen thankfully right away, as had seasons 2 or even 3 been the same boring format, I guarantee you Fox would eventually pull the plug due to the bad ratings. But instead, Ramsay realized what made for better TV and took over the show in season 2. And not only would he become a true household name, but reality TV would change forever with the true version of Hell's Kitchen that we all know and love. And we all owe that to Michael Ray for his genius gameplay in season 1. So yeah, a boring personality who literally sabotaged the fan favorite of the season. But I don't care. He's just so important to the series, if not the most important figure in this series for making Hell's Kitchen, forcing Hell's Kitchen to change and making the show what it is to this day. So I feel like I have no choice but to give him a top 10 spot. At number 9 is Petrozza. And I mean, I've said it a million times now. Not only is he one of the most genuine and lovable personalities in the show's history, but he was a complete beast in the kitchen as well. All this from a man who seemed like a complete donkey early on with his iconic hen and pumpkin dish. I guess for me, he's almost too reserved at times, like not quite as bubbly as his female counterpart, which is why she's way higher. But nonetheless, Petrozza is an all-time fan favorite for a reason, and he's my personal number 9 favorite Hell's Kitchen chef of all time. At number 8 is someone who I never in a million years thought I'd have this high before I started this channel, but man, Tennille is truly one of the best characters in reality TV history. And yeah, as a character, she's just fine, but oh my god, this girl would have gone home over freaking lovely had it not been for Joseph. Joseph's outburst, and then pulled a Joseph and taken on Ramsay one-on-one, only to then beast it out the entire rest of the season, literally being the biggest competition to the iconic Dave and Kevin duo in the Black Jackets. Like, you cannot in a million year script run like that. And Tennille's story and run in general is a massive reason why season 6 is one of the best seasons of reality television ever. And despite the admittedly annoying constant yelling at times, I don't care. She's in my top 10. On to number 7 now. And spoiler alert, I actually do not have Christina Wilson in my top 10, but I do have who many people compare her to, with that being Heather West. And yeah, she's a definition of a badass female chef where she doesn't freaking mess around. She doesn't back down either, and she just gets her shit done. I mean, she literally burnt her hand and still wanted to come back and help her team, and then got switched to the blue team despite them making sexist comments towards her, to which she also stood up to them. And despite that, obviously I'm sure being awkward, she didn't care. She still took over that team and led them to some of the only good services that entire season too. She was an obvious fan favorite throughout, made like 2 mistakes all season. Her Final Four performance is one of the best services ever, an amazing leader. Like, Heather to me is what I'm sure Christina Wilson is for a lot of other people. Like, again, I like Christina Wilson as well, of course. Like, she just missed out on the list. But I don't know, just something about Heather that just stands out to me a lot more. A complete freaking badass. And that's why she lands here at number 7. We have another winner to talk about now, my second favorite winner in the show's history, with that being Scott. And I mean, there's a lot of things that make season 12 great, but Scott's underdog run is truly unreal, as he was right in the middle of those first 3 awful services, and was inconsistent as could be while on the blue team. And then when he got switched to the red team, he had Anton, who hated him for no reason, and Joy, who would think of any reason to put him up over Keisha. And yet, despite all that, he still remained positive and wanted to help out his teammates despite them not returning the favor. Like, he never stopped being, a nice and genuine person. Speaking of never stopped, he never stopped taking risks no matter how many times he got pushed down. And this incredible fight, with some granted lucky breaks here and there, led him to the Final Four, where he would damn near be on the level of Chef Ramsay when it came to leadership. He was that dominant. So yeah, the fact that a man who was struggling on a freaking pizza station and was like on par with the likes of Gabriel and Ralph, early on, it looked like he for sure could have been booted before the final 10, would go into like not only win the season, but win in dominant fashion. Like, it is truly insane. And he's the comeback chef for a reason, and one of my all-time favorite winners and characters. At number 5 is, in my opinion, the best underdog in the show's history, and that is Nikki. And what makes her stand out to me is that it was freaking season 19 and people were still saying the same old stuff. They said to Julia and LC, well, mostly Julia, but still the same old stuff that, oh, due to their experience, she can't run a brigade and they just don't believe in her. Which, to be fair, I will admit, looked like the case early on when she broke down a couple times and probably would have been the boot on night 1 had the red team lost service. only for her to come back to not only be consistent the rest of the season, but absolutely dominate on the red team, arguably being the best chef of the season. And there's literally no reason why she couldn't have made, to at least a Final Four pass run. There's obviously so many good season 19 characters, and for that matter, underdogs in the show's history. But to me, Nikki's the best of them all, which is why she's a top 5 favorite chef of mine. At number 4 is, I'm sure, a lot of people's number 1, but at number 4 for me is Mr. 100 Sterling. And Sterling is just iconic. I mean, I don't need to reiterate how amazing he is. I mean, I touched on yesterday how insane it is to even have the thought of hating on this man, as not only is he one of the best characters in the show's history, but probably, in my opinion, the best all-around person to ever be on the show. It just makes me smile knowing that, people like Sterling exist in this world. And I just simply like the 3 chefs above him a bit more. But yes, Mr. 100 will always be a legend. At number 3, my favorite female chef in Hell's Kitchen history is Rochelle. And I touched on her earlier, as she is the female version of Petrozza. But to me, she's even more bubbly than Petrozza, and not only that, but despite her incredible personality, she was still somehow, some way outcasted by her team many times for being sick, and for God's sakes, wanting to start a freaking family. And for her to literally single-handedly win that, that first challenge after being switched to the blue team, God, that was so freaking amazing. And despite all she had to go through, all the BS, not only just from the Hell's Kitchen in general, but like her teammates and all the outcasting, she still kept a smile on her face the entire time and never stopped being her fun-loving self. Gosh, she's so freaking awesome. Oh, and not only that, but she's kind of a badass in the kitchen as well, so that certainly doesn't hurt her either. You add this all up, and Rochelle is my favorite chef of one of my all-time favorite seasons, and like I said, my favorite female chef ever, and my 3rd favorite all-time chef. At number 2 is a man who single-handedly makes season 9 worth watching, and that is Tommy. And I mean, what a pure spark he was in a season full of nonstop fighting and yelling. Tommy never got involved in that, as he was his goofy self throughout. And even when he messed up, you couldn't help but laugh at him, with his just complete dazed look on his face and the dumb mistakes he would make. It kind of reminds me how I would act in a situation like that. But the thing is, despite him not being that great of a chef, and you think he wouldn't be able to fit on a season like this, just filled with negativity, he somehow, some way BS'd his way to the Final Four. Like, I can genuinely not believe to this day we somehow, some way got that lucky that we were able to have Tommy pretty much on all season, pretty much as, on as long as Elise. Like, how do we get that lucky, so maybe Tommy wouldn't be this high on a somewhat even watchable season for me. But the fact that he's such a standout chef on season 9, I am just so forever grateful for this man. And that is why he's my 2nd favorite chef in Hell's Kitchen history. But my favorite chef in Hell's Kitchen history is the winner of season 6, Dave. And again, it has nothing to do with his personality, obviously. It's just strictly his story and determination that makes him not only my favorite character in Hell's Kitchen, but maybe even reality TV history. Heck, maybe even television history. Like, seriously, I always say how you cannot script season 6, and especially Dave's story, but him gutting through and winning Hell's Kitchen with one arm, that's literally better than most plots on TV shows and movies. And yet, this is generally a real thing that happened. Like, this isn't scripted. Like, it's generally remarkable. Like, seriously, guys, if any of you ever feel like you can't do something in life or feeling down, don't watch, an inspirational movie or TV show. Don't listen to all a bunch of BS on the internet. Generally remember what Dave did this season, and, that will motivate you right then. That will be your biggest motivation right there. You feel like you can conquer the world at that point, So, he's not just an incredible story. He truly is an inspiration. And for that reason, he will always be my favorite Hell's Kitchen chef. So there you have it, guys. My top 10 favorite chefs in Hell's Kitchen history. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and for that matter, all the videos leading up to this ranking series. As again, it truly feels my channel has now come full circle. Be sure to hit that subscribe and like button to keep supporting. And with all that said, take care, everyone, and I'll see you next time.